A very welcome, a very pleasant good afternoon. I'm sorry about that. My name is Randolph Christian. I want to welcome you to the rush for this afternoon. It is the 6th of May 2021, and we want to thank you very much for joining us this afternoon a little late on, but of course we're continuing to unpack the credible and valid information here on APNU AFC TV as usual. We want to see a special good afternoon to all of those who are joining us from all over the world, internationally, in the region, and right here in Guyana. As we usually do on the afternoon rush, we want you to let us know where you're joining us from. A protracted show this afternoon. We're only going to be going up to 6:30, after which we will have Miss Annette Ferguson, MP Annette Ferguson, with Across the Waves. Her special guest this afternoon is the Mayor of Georgetown, His Worship, Ubraj Narain. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. But we are going to be unpacking some information for you right here on The Rush with yours truly. But before we do that, remember to share the live stream. Share the live stream. And let us know where you're looking at us from. Let us know where you're joining us from this afternoon. I see London is in the house already. Thank you very much for being a part of what we're doing here, being a part of the afternoon rush. Good afternoon to all of you lovely people joining us. Atlanta, Georgia is in the house. Remember, we are also live on YouTube for those persons who prefer to view us on that platform. Remember, when you're on YouTube, give us a subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you're thinking out there. Give us your views. Suze Dyke is in the house. Good afternoon to you. Somebody saying good afternoon here, Randy. This is Brenda Brathwaite or Brathwaite. West Side, thank you very much. Davison is saying there. Antigua, of course, always in the house. Our good friends. Dominica is locked in. Georgetown is in the house. Barbados, Brooklyn, Diamond, Tortola, Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah. No, don't take no offense, Cleveland. You know, basketball team here. Right. Houston is in the house. Yeah, Houston Rockets. Yeah. Thank you very much, Queens. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's see who else is in the house. St. Kitts in the house. St. Kitts and Nevis, England. Good afternoon from, where is this? England, Brooklyn. French Guyana is in the house. Berbice, Mahaika, Brooklyn again. Folks, remember, as you comment and let us know where you're joining us from, remember to share the live stream. Share the live stream. We only have a few minutes this afternoon. We wouldn't be long. We wouldn't be long this afternoon. We want to come get hit with some credible and valid information as we unpack what we see happening in and around our country. So let me know that you're sharing the live stream in New York. French, thank you very much for joining us all the way in Africa. Thank you very much for joining us. Upstate New York is in the house. Texas, Bartica, Canal number 1, Iceland. Well, I'm happy that you're all the way in Iceland and still able to join us. Let us know what you're doing in Iceland. Essequibo is in the house. Region number 2 is in the house. Trinidad and Tobago, Brooklyn. Folks, welcome to the rush. Virginia is in the house. St. Lucia is in the house. Right. Let's go, folks. Let's start unpacking some of the credible and valid information. It has been now 430 days since the March 2nd regional and general election, and our country still does not have credible results from those elections. It's been 277 days since this fraudulent administration would have been installed on the Guyanese people in this country, and we continue to watch them. We continue to keep a close eye on what they're doing as we continue to fight those petitions in the court. Queens in the house, Toronto, California, Cleveland, right? Florida is in the house, all the way there in Florida. How's the weather down in Florida there? St. Martin, right? 277 days of this fraudulent administration, and we continue to watch them. Folks, Carmichael Street, thank you very much. I get caught up reading these West Bank, reading the location of our viewers. Sometimes I get so caught up in it, forgetting that we have a show to do. We have a show to do. We have some information to give to you, and today is Thursday, folks. We want to know what you are thinking. How do you feel? I know persons want to find out a whole host of things. I must say hi to our friends in Hopetown, locked into our show also. British Virgin Islands locked in. Folks, the song is, let me see if I can give you some more volume. Some persons are complaining about the song. I hope it is better now. I hope that you can noise. That's why, I hope that doesn't affect you. Right. Of course, my hometown, Linden, is locked in. Thank you very much, folks up there in the mining town of Linden. I know we've had some issues up there in Linden with the nurses and some other issues, and we know of that. Hearing a story coming out of Linden with that young man who killed that young lady. It's quite sad. I know Sher Duncan would have covered that story extensively. Our hearts and our prayers are with the family and friends of that young lady who lost her life in such tragic circumstances. And it brings attention to the scourge and the issue of domestic violence. And we keep talking about it. We see our women being slaughtered at the hands of their partners, and it is something that we need to address as a country. We need to address it frontally. We see far too many cases, far too many cases of this happening. So this is something that I want to address on another show, because I want to have some other voices talking about how we can address this issue. But as I was saying, today is Thursday, and we want to know what you are thinking. So formulate your questions. People have been commenting and asking a number of questions about what is happening with Gavin Matthews. Now, today we see Christopher Jones, and we see Annette Ferguson being summoned for being part of an illegal procession. We're going to deal with that later down in the program. We're also going to deal with the lawsuit filed by former President Granger on Kit Nascimento and some others, totaling to some $2 billion. So $2 billion court case is going to be in the news very soon. We're going to see what's going to happen with that. And of course, we continue to watch what is happening in local government democracy or local democracy. As you know, there is a ongoing issue with the two shows. Those two shows are, up for elections, and there are lots and lots of interference by this PPP government on the part of the elections and how those two show elections are supposed to be run and who can run for them. So we're going to take a little closer look at that in our program. Folks, let me share a few more places so that we can ensure that everybody is with us. Everybody is with us. Right, folks, let's get right into the issue. The first issue I like to start with every day, reminding folks about the issue of COVID-19. Serious issue. And let's start there, folks. Let us start right there. Let us start right there, folks. Let me bring this back up. We see today COVID-19 cases have now reached, deaths have now reached to 310. 310, folks. Now, for just some comparison, if you're paying attention, on the 4th of May, we are at 305 on the 4th of May. Right? We're at 305. Today, some 2 days later, we've added 10 more deaths to this list. If this is not alarming, I don't know what is. If this is not alarming, folks, right? I don't know what is. I really don't know what is. You know, I am confused as to why people are not taking this as seriously as they should. People need to take this as seriously as, you know, you know, I really don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say, but to say to you, Guyana, that you need to ensure that you do what you need to do to protect yourselves. Do not be one of the statistics. Do not. Let us continue to do the things we need to do to protect ourselves and family from COVID-19. Sad, sad. In a matter of 2 days, you have five deaths. The latest fatality, of course, fatality is a 57-year-old male and a 62-year-old female from region number 4. Folks, this is sad. This is sad. We continue to watch those numbers, and of course, you know, our hearts go out those persons who've lost their relatives and friends to this. We are not even getting the brunt of it. And I think because these numbers are not huge numbers into the thousands or anything like that, people are not taking it seriously. But comparatively, we have a very small population. We have a very small population, and we ought to take this seriously. Those are 310 Guyanese that could have been contributing to what, right? To what? So the strength of this country, contributing to developing this country. 310 Guyanese who could have been working towards building a better Guyana, but you know, they're gone now. And again, we watch around the world, we see what is happening in India, we see what is happening in Brazil. You know, let us hope that we can get our vaccinations done. We know that the vaccine doesn't cure it or stop you from getting it, but your chances of dying from COVID-19 are greatly reduced when you get the vaccine. Greatly. So let us do the right thing. Folks, continuing in the news, folks, we have breaking today. We saw this story coming out in the newscast, and of course we're picking this up from News Source Guyana. Thanks to those folks down there, not only News Source Guyana, but at the Village Voice, whom we trust to get our credible and valid information. So we're picking up on this story coming out of News Source Guyana and other media houses. Former president files lawsuit against communication consultant Kit Nascimento and 3 other daily newspapers over statements contained in published letters and dailies. Now, these lawsuits amount to some of $2 billion. Now, we're talking about small change here, you know. We are not talking about small change here. We are talking about big bucks, $2 billion. And let me see if I can give you some of the details in this particular story, right? Let me see if I can give you some of the details in this particular story, folks, before we go any further, right? Let me see if I can give you some of the details quickly. Right. The former president said the lawsuit is in response to statements that were contained in various letters by Kit Nascimento and published by 3 newspapers last year during and after the elections. Right, let me get it back here. During and after the elections. The letters were written and published over the period of time and attacked Mr. Granger's handling of the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the aftermath, right? Among the relief being sought, a retraction and an apology and a number of injunctions against the public, against republishing letters and repeating the statements made in them, and a permanent removal of the offending letters from the online edition of the newspapers. Of course, he also pointed out that the claims that throughout the election process, he made it clear that he will abide by the declaration handed down by the elections chairman and the elections commission. So, folks, let me see if I can mansplain this a little bit. During the elections, we saw, and after the elections, we saw a concerted effort by some in the media, specifically and especially Mr. Nascimento, to paint Mr. Granger as the mastermind behind some alleged fraud, right? Paint Mr. Granger as the mastermind behind some alleged fraud, right? So these letters said that Mr. Granger was somehow doing something illegal or was lying to the public and letting his lawyers file these cases. And remember this statement about sanctimonious gangster, right? Mr. Granger has maintained that he will abide by the law. He will abide by the ruling of the court. He will abide by the Constitution. He will abide by whatever declaration is made by GCOM. And that is what he did. And that is what he did, right? So he is now saying, look, these publications made by Mr. Nascimento insinuating that he was doing something illegal or he was dishonest to the nation was damaging to his character. It was damaging financially also, and it caused great stress and so these are the things being highlighted here. Mr. Granger has the right, of course. He has the right to file this lawsuit. He has a right to file this lawsuit because he is, he has maintained. And again, the public record is very clear on this. The public record is very clear on this. Anybody that says that Mr. Granger went back on his word about abiding by the Constitution or abiding by the decision of the Guyana Elections Commission would be lying. They would be lying. Because Mr. Granger was very clear, right? In the lawsuit, Mr. Granger contended that the publication of the letters were intended to and calculated to affect him as a politician and as a leader in the community and the country, with a view of lowering him, right? And painting a false impression to the readers, of course, about Mr. Granger's action throughout the election period. Folks, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section how you feel about this particular story. Right? Persons are saying Mr. Granger is right. Let's read some of the comments for you. Right? Somebody said, well done, former President David Granger. Boy. Let's read some of the comments. Right. Let's know what you feel. Let's hear what you think about this. Slander, libel, emotional stress to him and his family. Of course, these are a number of things coming out in the lawsuit. But yes, somebody said, sue them all. Quite interesting, quite interesting. All right, somebody says he's right. Folks, big story. We will continue to follow this story, of course, all the way to the court and its aftermath. So stay tuned and keep your ears to the show. Let us continue to inform you the credible and valid information, especially on this particular story, right? But let's move on. As we're talking about court, as we're talking about law and legal issues, we saw today also that, let me just pull this up. The Guyana Police Force has filed charges against opposition member of Parliament Christopher Jones and opposition members of Parliament Christopher Jones and Anik Ferguson, with several others, for allegedly participating in an illegal procession. Folks, let me say that I find this extremely laughable. And you know why I find it extremely laughable? Because it seems it is clear every day, it's evident that the Guyana Police Force has nothing better to do than to be running behind political opponents of the PPP. It seems as though the PPP have them at their behest to run behind these people who they believe are political opponents. Well, not believer, they are political opponents. So it seems to me as though the police force has no work. At the same time, when they're doing all of this madness, sending people to pick up Gavin Matthews and charge Christopher Jones and Annette Ferguson for being part of an illegal procession, criminals are running rampant in Guyana. The drug lords are having a field day, right? People being robbed and stabbed and killed. The police force couldn't figure out. Let me just put this in perspective for you. The police force couldn't figure out that this young man in Linden was guilty when everybody else in the country knew. They couldn't even decide, you know what, let us go and check his yard and search his yard to see, you know, what is happening. They can't figure out yet who killed the Henry Boys and Harris Singh. They couldn't figure out for months that a 18 or 19-year-old had them running around in Linden. But they got time to go and arrest Gavin Matthews. They got time to go and charge Christopher Jones and Annette Ferguson for being a part of an illegal procession. An illegal procession. Apparently they had permission from the police force. The charges date back to April the 26th, when there was a gathering outside of the High Court for the elections petition ruling. Folks, the PPP is a joke. The PPP is a real joke. This is it. You are charging persons for assembling outside of the High Court. I wonder how many persons were charged. There were dozens of persons outside of the High Court. The leader of the opposition was outside of the High Court. The news media was outside of the High Court. Many other MPs were outside of the High Court. But we see Christopher Jones and Annette Ferguson. I wonder why. You know, I wonder if they sent a letter to the leader of the opposition, because I remember seeing him outside of the High Court. This is a joke. Jones and Ferguson and a number of APNU AFC supporters have received summons to appear at the Georgetown Magistrate Court. They're being charged with taking part in a procession without permission from the Chief Officer of Police. In a statement. So this, you know, I laugh and I kid, but this is extremely serious. This is part, and we see the beginnings of it, folks. And I want you to mark my words today. We see the beginnings of control. Gavin Matthews mustn't speak about any minister. He must not protest anybody. The opposition mustn't gather outside of the High Court before the petition is read. So your basic right as a Guyanese, the PPP is trying to impinge and infringe on it. That is what they're doing. That is what they are doing. And they have the police force like a little puppet on a string, carrying out these foolish vendetta against these political opposition. And it is becoming laughable at this point in time, as serious as it is, because I don't want us to overshadow the fact that it is extremely serious. I don't want us to look over that fact, that this is an extremely serious development. When persons are being given summons for being a part of a peace demonstration, then our country is heading in a serious direction. Our country is heading in a serious direction. Right? The continued victimization of their political opponents is a clear pattern. It's a clear pattern. But we're not going to back down. In the words of Amanzo Walton Desir, who herself is dealing with the lunacy and the idiocy of the PPP. And she will not be silenced. They latched on to this issue about mental laziness that Amanzo said, and twist it and turn it to make it seem as if she is speaking to Indian people. But we ventilated this issue enough. We know that she didn't say Indian people. She said PPP supporters. But the PPP held on to this so strongly. I wonder how the people of other ethnicity in their party feels. Because they are saying to you that, look, if you say Indian, if you say PPP supporters, you mean Indian people. That is what they are saying to you. So I wonder what all of the black ministers are thinking, and the black supporters of the PPP. I wonder if you realize that they don't regard you. That is what they are saying by this insistence, this continued insistence on the fact that she said PPP supporters and she mean Indian people. They are essentially saying, look, PPP supporters are Indian people. And we got Indian people, the only people that support our party, apparently. How, as a black person in that party, should you feel? In their haste, as she said, to excoriate her, they have revealed their inner bias. In essence, they have displayed mental laziness, because, you know, if they didn't, they would have said, you know what, let us not turn this into a race, you see, because she didn't say Indian people. She said PPP supporters, and by turning this into a race issue, we will look as if, you know what, we only have Indian people as supporters of our party. But no, that level of depth of thinking, you know, they're void of it. The irony of the situation is that the mental laziness is what has shown us exactly what the man had said. But folks, I will not ventilate this issue anymore. I will not. I will move on. I will, as I said to you, we're going to be handing over to the MP Annette Ferguson for Across the Waves in just a few minutes. You know, and we're going to deal with the issue of the local democracy being railroaded. and it has all the imprints of the tin pot dictator that is Damlal. Yeah, that's what I call him, the tin pot dictator. He has displayed all of the attributes of a tin pot dictator, one that really doesn't have any power, who answers to a political master. So it's a little fish in the bigger pond, a little fish in the bigger PPP pond, but is insisting that he is the dictator of his own domain, that is local government, and he insists on dabbling in everybody's affair. All the attributes of a tin pot dictator, not really a real dictator. You know, you wanna be dictator. Smart enough to be a real dictator. So we'll explore the dealings of Mr. Damlal on another show, especially when it comes to what is happening in Region 9. And we got some documents that we want to share with you. I'll do that tomorrow or on Saturday. Folks, we're going to be doing the show on Tuesdays, Thursday, and our special reports on Saturdays from now on. We're going to be bringing the Rush on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then, of course, the Rush special reports on Saturdays from now on. Again, all in an effort to ensure that the content that we bring to you is of quality. We want you to be able to trust the information coming from us here as credible and valid, right? And of course, do not worry, do not despair. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we are going to be filling the space with something else. And that's a surprise that we'll be bringing to you. So do not despair. You'll have our program on every day. But the Rush specifically will be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Rush special report on Saturdays at 6, right? So we're going to try and transition now to Miss Annette Ferguson. Before we go, I want to leave you with one more thing. Let me take this down. Let me just bring this up for you folks. This is our one more thing. This is our one more thing for the day. Like me, one more thing sometimes is a little funny. Let's write it.
Give me some folks and let me sing something now.
Right, folks. One more thing today, folks. The fourth, we had, Arrival Day celebrated recently, right? And of course, the leader of the opposition sent out this Arrival Day message, and the fraudulent president decided that he will not be outdone. He will send out an Arrival Day message also. But unfortunately, the president that they need to fire the persons writing his speech. The persons who write his speech, it's either they write words that are big and too elaborate for him to pronounce, or they just write total nonsense. One out of the two. There's no middle ground. It's no middle ground, really. Right? Yeah. There was no middle ground. So I am saying it's either the president's speech writer, right? Bear sharpness he talk, or they write words that he doesn't know how to pronounce. That's that every time you listen to him speak. I can put countless occasions where he has stumbled on words. And I mean, we all stumble on words. But we shouldn't stumble on facts. We shouldn't read stupidness. And let me just play this for you.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Let us remember that every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions.
What? president said in his speech, folks, and I'll play it back for you, that the people who came to Guyana, all of them, every group that came for improved living standards and improved living conditions. Now, what sort of madness is this? Does the president know about slavery? Does the president understand that the slaves didn't decide we're going to pack up with traps and we can jump in this ship and chain our feet and our hands together and go to this strange land because we want improved living standards? Again, as I said, let us blame the speechwriter. Let us blame the person who gave him and put the stuff on the teleprompter for him to read. But also let us blame the president. Because upon reading it, you ought to say to yourself, man, this makes sense. But then we have the question, do you know whether or not it makes sense? This is why we say people, we kept asking for your degree. Everybody kept asking, where is your degree? Where you get it from? Let's listen to this nonsense again.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Let us remember that every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions.
What?
Improved living conditions. According to the fraudulent president of Guyana, the slaves came here for improved living conditions. And they probably found, I don't know that what he felt that was improved living conditions that the slaves found. It's just sad. And when you listen to this, you only can think that our country is in a sad place. Our country is in trouble. We are in trouble in Guyana. Because we continue to hear these things coming out from the office of the president and from the mouth of the person who is supposed to be sitting in the highest seat in our country. But folks, that's our one more thing for today. That's our one more thing. As I said, we are going to be transitioning to the show across the waves with former Minister Annette Ferguson, who I'm going to chit-chat a little bit with before I go this afternoon. Former Minister Ferguson, welcome to the Rush. And I know that you have a packed show, but welcome to the Rush.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Randy. A pleasant evening to you, your viewers, and your listeners. How are you?
I am wonderful. I was just having some fun at the expense of the fraudulent president just now. There's all these people that came for improved living condition. Obviously, the president wasn't a student of history, or he skipped that class like how we probably skip. I don't know. We can't find his degree. Probably couldn't find the history class. But I blame his speechwriters. I'm not going to blame him. I'm going to blame the people that wrote the speech.
Yeah, what an embarrassment, what an embarrassment, Randy, as you rightfully put, and yesterday, Facebook was well lit, after this message went out viral. And, Afro Guyanese, we really took offense or umbrage of what he stated, because we all know history would have taught us that our ancestors came here not by their own free will.
Exactly.
They were brought, they were enslaved, they were placed in the bowels of the boats as cargoes. They were chained, they were bound, they were beaten. We had our culture was taken away from us, from them. The language that they spoke, all of that was taken away from them. So how can you say that all groups, inclusive of the African groups, came here for betterment? What betterment, Randy?
Yeah.
What betterment? So we gotta encourage, Afran, before he puts his information out there,
Yeah.
he has to proof check, or fact
Yeah.
check,
Exactly.
and just don't
Gerald Brown
read
is saying here.
exactly.
Let me read a comment from one of the viewers. Gerald Brown is saying, "Can someone please get that book, The People Who Came, and give it to the."
Oh yeah, the
Uh,
people who came. I remember that book indeed, indeed. Probably primary school
yeah.
days or probably
Yes.
into Form 1 day about the people
Yeah.
who came. I think it was a green cover book, Randy. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
if you've ever
Yeah.
seen the book, but I think it was a green cover book, if my memory
Mm,
serves me accurate. So we
yeah.
have to encourage Afran to, do better. Do
Read.
better. And you know
Read.
what? The hurtful thing, Randy, is that since he would have uttered those remarks, he has
Mhm.
not even come out and
No
say, you know
retraction.
what, it was an oversight, and I
Mhm.
apologize to one group that would have taken offense of
Yeah.
what I would have said. Me, be a man. But you see, when you're a puppet, you gotta dance to your master's tune, right? So I'm really, really sorry for him. He's not
Yeah.
allowed to govern. He's not allowed to think off of his own. He's just given script upon script, just to read out aloud. Sometimes it making no sense. And, as recent as the one yesterday, he
Yeah.
really, really blew it off. He really, really blew it off. So I pity him. I could understand, when you're handpicked. When you're handpicked, you're not at liberty. You're not at freedom, to do what is required of you. So you
Yeah.
just got to do what the master's bidding. And that's exactly what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
That's
You know,
exactly what he's doing.
from a minister, I want, as you said two words that are very interesting: liberty and freedom. And
Mm-hmm,
I spoke earlier about these charges that I see yourself and Christopher Jones for being a
uh-huh,
part of the legal procession, and we
mm-hmm,
laugh at it because it seems so infantile on the part of the PPP to be using
mm-hmm.
force to run behind their political opponents when there are so many serious issues going on in our country,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
and outside of that laughable part of it, it speaks to a trend that I believe is happening in our country and it started of the day, this fraudulent administration trying to remove those freedoms and liberties that people have a right to, right?
Mm-hmm,
You are going to
mm-hmm,
say that one Gavin Matthews can't say something, he can't protest. These people, y'all shouldn't have been outside of the court, right? Uh,
mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering here whether or not everybody who was out there who was given a summons, do you know that if that was so, and if that is so, that speaks to a real degradation in that fabric of what holds our democracy together. That's the right to protest, the right to make your voices heard, and it's a sad
Mm-hmm.
situation in our country.
It's indeed a sad situation, Randy, and I am really worried where we're heading
Mhm.
as a nation. I'm really worried for our people. It seems as though, if you gotta act by way of protestation, if you gotta
Mhm.
speak out, it offends other groups. But you know what? When those other groups, they storm school buses, they burnt tires on the road,
Mhm.
they actually overturned. They were about to overturn vehicles with my fellow former colleague ministers. I
Mhm.
think it was David Patterson and Dr. Karen Cummins outside of the Pegasus Hotel. We note, the People's Progressive Party Civic Dem, they took to the streets to demonstrate. We saw what happened in Bath, there on the west coast of Bubis. We saw what
Mhm.
happened at Luziknan. And you know what? We did not as a government, interfere with people's freedom or rights. We didn't
Mhm.
cause police to turn up at people's house or homes, unannounced, to ask them to come down to the station and all manner of thing. But you know what, Randy? I want to remind persons, of what the Constitution, I always like to refer to this book, the Constitution, and the one that I have before me here at page 92, and Article 147.1
Mhm.
states, except, this is talking to protection of freedom of assembly, association, and demonstration. And this
Yes.
is what this article is saying, except with his or her own consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his or her freedom of assembly, association, and freedom to demonstrate peacefully. That to
Mhm.
say, his or her right to assemble freely, to
Mhm.
demonstrate peacefully, and to associate with other persons, and in particular, to form or belong to political parties, trade unions, or other associations for the protection of his or her own interest. And it goes further up to section 4D. So I wouldn't want to board
Yeah.
your viewers, but just to let your viewers know that the Constitution give right to the freedom of association, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom to demonstrate peacefully.
Yeah.
So I don't know why myself and Christopher Jones have been, summoned, the summons claim that we had illegal procession
Procession.
between Kroll and Regent Street. Well,
You know.
I will have my time in court tomorrow, and
Mhm.
I will be well represented, and let us see where it goes from there. And also because there's another charge brought against me, and that
Mhm.
is one that I cause obstruction of a peace officer in the summons read in the exemption rather than in the execution of his duty. Well, the police will have to, I guess, bring the burden of proof to show
Mhm.
that, well, look, I, Annette Ferguson, did obstruct him from carrying out his duties, right? So as I said, tomorrow we will be in court, and let us see where it goes from there. But I know
Yeah.
my God is a fair God and he's a just God. And I will be exonerated, both myself and colleague, we will be exonerated from these, frivolous charges. As you rightfully put, we got a country to govern. Our country, 310 persons have died to date from COVID-19, rather than you putting all your efforts there to fight against this deadly disease to save the lives of your people. You're fighting
Mhm.
to carry people before the courts for what? We
Mhm.
haven't committed a crime. I ain't steal our books. I ain't got 19 fraud charges against my name, selling state lands. You understand? And I can go on and on.
Yeah. I want to say this in as I wrap up and I hand over to you. This speaks, and for me, it will set a dangerous precedent.
Mhm.
And I'm just looking generally, and it's pointing into a dangerous direction for our country. Because I can ask the question whether or not the sugar workers that protested,
Mhm.
they were summoned and charged with illegal possession, or you need to show me where they were given permission to protest. Are the nurses in Linden going to be charged for illegal possession? Right?
Mhm.
Um, and the thing is, because we know that the PPP, their government, their administration is littered with people protesting. The GPL workers who came out the other day, well, you charge them for being a part of illegal possession, and it is so silly to kind of cherry pick who you're going to charge with this when you know that everybody protesting you, and maybe that is the reason. Maybe this is a scare tactic because they know
Exactly.
that the country is unhappy generally, and they're unhappy with the PPP, and they know
Mhm.
these protests will continue. So is this a scare tactic on the part of the PPP to put down protest action? Those are questions that we
Well,
need to.
Well, how best can we describe it, Randy? I
Mhm,
would want to support, your thoughts on it,
mhm.
whether they're using it as a scare tactic to warn people off from, exercising their constitutional rights. But
Yes,
as I
yes.
said, let us see how it goes. Let us see how it will be played in the court of
In the
law.
courts.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not afraid. I haven't committed any crime. So as I said, the burden of proof must be exhibited in the court of law. Right?
Right.
So I'm not
Well, on
afraid.
that,
I'm not afraid.
well, on that note,
I'm a strong woman, and I know my colleague Christopher Jones, he too is strong.
right. So on that note, I will leave you and I will say to our viewers, let's continue to work for national development. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Home Minister Ferguson as we transition to across the waves. Let me see if I found the right thing, your operators. Yes, of course, across the waves. I think your intro will be
Yes.
played, so I'll do enjoy the rest of your evening, Minister.
Thank you very much, Randy, and you do the same, and please be safe. I hope you were able to take your first job. And I guess we can speak on that at some other
Another
time.
time.
But I want to
Yes.
encourage you to take your job. Eh?
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Everybody,
Bye
enjoy
bye.
your evening.
Let all the saints come gather round, sing His praise on holy ground. With thanksgiving, let our souls rejoice. Come together, hear our Savior's voice. Ooh, in this house.
Jesus Christ was crucified.
A pleasant Thursday evening to each and every one of you out there viewing this program across the wave with yours truly. Today being Thursday, the 6th day of May in the year 2021. I trust that your week has been going well thus far for you. I know that this week was extremely a short week. Yesterday you had a restful day due to one of our holidays, our national holidays, that is Arrival Day. And I must admit that on that day, we heard or read the statement by Irfan Ali, which did not go down too well with a certain section of the Guyana's population, and I know that many persons took umbrage of it. Many persons have been calling for Irfan Ali to retract the statement, and we're yet to see whether that will be done. But we all know, we all have grown accustomed to the arrogance and the attitude of the People's Progressive Party Civic. So while we would have persons expressing their dissatisfaction with what was said, I know for a fact that no retraction nor um, no retraction nor apologies will come from that side of the corner. So let us wait and see whether he would be man enough, mature enough to extend apologies to the Afro Guyanese in this country. Um, Today being Thursday, the 6th of May 2021, I have so much to talk about. I should um, have had a guest this evening on my program. That is the Honorable Mayor of the City of Georgetown, Mr. Yubraj Narain, Pandit Yubraj Narain. I don't think that he will appear this evening. I guess, he's otherwise engaged. But that being said, the program will continue as usual. Um, I want to start out by sharing with you or bringing to your attention, and I know many of you are aware of what is happening with respect to this goal initiative program that the installed government is boasting proudly of. And like my other colleagues who have been appearing on such programs on these platforms, they have been given their side and thoughts on this particular program, and I want to fully support the expressions shared by them, because for me, I see this entire initiative, while it may have some merit, to have young Guyanese be given a chance to, be awarded a government scholarship, so that they can improve their professional development. I think what is happening is that this particular program, it is being used as a political tool. The reason for me saying this is that you go through the city, the main carriageway in the city of Georgetown, Lemaha streets. I think somewhere down home stretch, you'll find these huge billboards, these scrolls being placed on lantern posts, showcasing images of persons that we have delivered on our promises. You cannot deliver, you cannot say that you have delivered on your promises when not one scholarship has been awarded. So I don't know where we're going, and I can only say that this particular um, program is being used as a political tool, because many of the persons that they're seeking to have forms completed, those persons perhaps do not have the requisite entry for the programs. Many of the areas identified in the various regions, they don't have um, either electricity, they don't have proper internet services. And we know this what is happening, it is a waste of people's time. Because let us say, for instance, a university is offering online programs. That university wouldn't require of you to print out the forms, and then when you finish printing out the forms, you gotta fill up these forms, and then probably come now on the computer, sign in, and do the necessary completion of those application. No, what usually happen, you apply to the university. Once you're accepted based on what you have for the entry, now they will normally forward you the link where you have to complete your application electronically. When that is done, they will normally send back a confirmation saying that, well, look, you have satisfied all the criterion for the program, and you can start whatever additional information they would require. You can, they will invite you to submit such. But what we are seeing here on the ground, that is far from what is to happen. You know, Number one, a proper assessment has not been done to determine what is Guyana's immediate needs. What are the immediate needs of our human resources? We are now in a new industry, the oil industry. And with the oil industry, it requires certain skill sets, certain traders, certain professionals. So that is where the government of the day should be focusing their attention and their efforts to ensure that your best is given the opportunity to be, to be trained so that when they return, they can add value towards the development of Guyana. So, what I would want to say on this particular um, point here, where this program is concerned, if the government has an outreach in your community, I would say to you, take your child, turn up, complete the form, and let us see where it goes from there. So, my encouragement to you in the various regions, in the various communities, is to, get on board, you know, get on board, because at the end of the day, it is taxpayers' dollars that are paying for these programs. I want to turn our attention briefly to COVID 19. Yes, COVID is real. COVID is real, my brothers and sisters. And today, the death toll for today, the 6th of May 2021, this is where our figures stand. We have two deaths. Active cases 1,844. 128 new cases for today. 99 in hospital. And we have 1,745 at home in isolation. So, with the new figure in deaths for today, which is two added to what we had, which is 308 as at last evening, now gives us a total number of 310. 310. The latest, as is being depicted there on the display on the screen there, the latest fatalities are a 57-year-old male and 62-year-old female. And you see where they're from? Region number 4. So this is telling us something. Every day the numbers are climaxing. Every day we see people dying, whether a 2, a 3, or a 4, but at the end of the day, we're getting deaths. So all that I can say to you, my brothers and sisters, we have seen the handling or the mismanagement of this whole the fight against COVID by this de facto administration. We have seen with the new measures for May 1st to May 31st, 2021, nothing drastically has changed. We have curfew time from 10:30 p.m. to 4 up to 4 a.m. So therefore, you know what it is saying? You can party from probably 4:30 a.m. in the morning up to 10:30 p.m. at night. So you got all day to party. But we as a people, we have to be responsible because we recognize the failure of the government to deal with this particular pandemic. So we have to be responsible. We have to ensure that we exercise all the necessary measures for our safety, because if they are failing us, then the onus is on us to protect ourselves. That is why the three W's: watch your distance, wear your mask, and wash your hands or sanitize your hands. The other thing I know that is happening currently is that we have, the vaccination campaign ongoing by the Ministry of Public Health. Look, comrades, I know this is a personal decision one will have to make whether to take the vaccine or not. I guess, like many of you who are tuned into this program, you haven't taken the vaccine as yet because, up to probably 11 a.m. this morning, I did not take my vaccine because I was still, wavering whether to take it or not to take it. But you know what? Today, just before 12 midday, I took my first jab. I took my first jab. So I want to encourage each and every one of you. I'm encouraging you as a national leader, as a responsible leader. My plea to you is that go take your jab. It's from 18 years and over. So if you haven't yet taken your vaccine, please, I guess many of you, you may want to consult with your doctors because, because of your underlying issues. Go get your doctor's advice. But at the end of the day, in order for us not or to reduce the rates of infection and the death rates, the only way we can solve this and fight this disease off is by being vaccinated. So wherever you live at the moment, once you have health centers in your community, I know for a fact that those health centers, they're being operationalized, they're functioning to provide this service. If you don't have an health center in your communities, I know that there is a hotline. I don't have the number readily available at this point, where you can call that number, let whomever know that answers the phone that this is where you live, and they would provide the nearest vaccination site for you. My brothers and sisters, as I said before, and like my other colleagues, we all have been saying, COVID is real. COVID is real. And in order for you to be saved, or in order for you to be protected, I'm encouraging you to go and get vaccinated. That's the only way we will be able to fight off this deadly disease. And as I'm on COVID, I firmly believe that more can be done from the national level. We have seen, COVID has been with us since March 11th, when we had patient zero, March 11th, 2020. We've already March, we're now into May. 1 year, 1 month to be precise. We still have COVID with us. And at 2nd of August 2020, you had 21 deaths. Now, 1 year, 1 month, and couple days, we have 310 deaths. So that in itself is saying to us that this particular disease in this country is running out of control. And rather than the government ensuring that much is being pumped in to fight against this deadly disease, we passed budgets 2020 and 2021, purchasing vehicles, purchasing this, these things, they could have been placed on the back burner. What should have been placed on the front burner is how we getting out of this pandemic. And the only way for us to get out of this pandemic is that we have to ensure that we plug many resources, despite the little resources that we have. But whatever we have available at this time, we should have been pumping it into the health sector so as to ensure that the lives of our people are safe. But you know what? This government, they have no plan. They are a planless set of people. They have no vision, a visionless set of people. But they boasted that they had all the know-hows to fight COVID. But yet, heading to 1 year since they've taken office, by installed means, we still can't see the plan, this grand plan that they spoke about while in opposition. So my encouragement to you, my brothers and sisters, is to go and get vaccinated. We've seen how they would have treated with the COVID cash grant. Many families have not received the cash grant. Many persons did not complete a pink list or the pink form So I don't know what is really happening. So it seems as though this government has its priorities all set wrong. All set wrong. What should have been at the forefront is us coming together, get the opposition on board. Yes, we had a grand plan. This was our plan, the National Action Plan for Public Health, speaking about the whole exit strategy for each ministry, for each government department. We have a total layout plan, how we're going to deal with issues in the current status quo, with COVID being involved, and the exit strategy, that is how we intend to get out from COVID. So this is the APNU AFC plan. So they'll always like to say that we had nothing. But when you hit them with facts, they just can't accept it. They just can't accept the reality. So we have a serious problem in our nation with respect to COVID. And I want to encourage the installed government to ensure that you place and put more emphasis on the fight against COVID. Invite the opposition. We have been clamoring, we have been publicly stating that we are willing, we are ready, and we are capable of working alongside with the installed government to fight this deadly disease, because it cannot be fought with one set of people. We all got to be in this thing together, because at the end of the day, our lives are involved. So once we come together and fight this thing, we all will come out successfully together. But you can't speak about oneness. You cannot speak about a one Guyana, and you have put the opposition aside and not bring them to the table so that we can have frank discussions to see how best we can bring this deadly disease to an end. So once again, I want to take this opportunity to encourage you, my brothers and sisters, to get vaccinated. It can save you from being infected with this deadly disease. We're already a small population, less than 750,000. Less than 750,000. So we cannot speak to the issue of wanting to see Guyana develop, from this great prospect that we have, called the oil. The oil. We cannot want to see Guyana developing with the oil revenues. But in order for us to develop Guyana, we must have strong human resources. So if our people continue to die, because of COVID, how are we going to develop? What is going to happen? In order for our country to develop, we will have to import persons from outside. Trinidadians, Bajans, St. Vincians, Grenadians, St. Lucians, Americans. No, we have a country to develop, and together we can develop our country. So we have to save lives. The other matter I want to discuss this evening is that of the sugar workers. The sugar workers, and we know what is happening with Gaisuku. Gaisuku is a failed industry. It wasn't failed under the APNU AFC government. Gaisuku was failing a very long time, probably pre 1992. And it went further. It went terrible after 1992. But you know what is happening? We have seen, we have seen, we have seen that one set of people, they've been using the sugar workers as their political pawns. As their political pawns. I remember while serving as an MP in the 10th Parliament, the then government, I think it was the Ramatar's government, yeah, came to the National Assembly asking for a whole set of money to, for the sugar industry. And I recall the then Shadow Minister for Finance, Honorable Carl Greenidge, asked for a study. And the then government said, yes, we are conducting a study on Gaisuko. And we asked whether this study, the final study, the report that is, will be tabled in the National Assembly. And we were promised, yes, I'm talking since 2012. My brothers and sisters, from 2012 to now, from 2012 to now, I think it's no, from 2012 to 2015, just before we took government, nothing was tabled in the National Assembly. But when we came in May of 2015, we had a COI done on Gaisuku. And we have a completed report. We have a completed report. And based on the report that we received from those who conducted the assessment, we were able to make, strong decisions on how we would want to see the sugar industry, because it's a failing industry. And we said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to right size the sugar industry. And we engaged GAWU. GAWU was on board with us. We engaged, I think, some other stakeholders who came on board with us. And GAWU was in full support. But, GAWU being the union and, having a seat in the National Assembly, the late Kumal Chan, he came in for some high ridiculing by the PPP members on that bench, So, GAWU started to dance differently. They weren't turning up to the meetings amongst every other thing. But you know what? Since we came in, when we were in government, we injected $36 billion in the sugar industry. $36 billion in the sugar industry. When the People's Progressive Party Civic was installed, 2nd of August 2020, I think between 2020, post-August 2020, in this year budget, we would have given Gaisuku in excess of 9 billion Guyana dollars. 9 billion Guyana dollars. So you tell me, let's do the maths. 9 billion plus 36 billion. It is close to, $47 billion we would have injected in less than 10 years into the sugar industry. You know what $46 billion could have done? $46 billion could have gone towards the health sector to fight against COVID. $46 billion could have helped to cushion, give, citizens a proper stimulus package other than a $25,000. $46 billion could have been used. Some of that money could have gone to to the Ministry of Education to help our less fortunate, those children who don't have proper gadgets, whether by way of a cell phone, smart cell phone, a laptop, or a tablet, who don't have it, 4 to 6. Some of that money could have gone to the ministry or the department that has responsibility for telecommunication. You know, they could have bargained with GT&T or Digicel as the main cellular providers in this country. You know, work out some arrangement with them where all of the communities that don't have proper access to internet be given, you know, proper bandwidth so that those students, pupils who are at home preparing whether for National Grade 6 examination or CSET or CAPE or other exams, they could have benefited. But you know what? We gotta keep flogging this dead horse because we promised the people during our campaign that we gonna open back the sugar estates. Sugar gonna make money. We gonna re-employ our people and this, that, and the terror. So that is how our monies are being wasted. Rather than coming into government, see what the previous government, you know, what was their blueprint or what they have there. Let us see how we can build on it. No, rather than building, you destroy it. But in the destruction, you're wasting monies. Because the very monies that we are wasting, those very monies can go towards the development and the improvement in the school sector, in the health sector at this time, at this juncture. So the sugar workers decided that they're going to protest, came out on the streets and they demanded that they want better wages and salaries. But you know, my brothers and sisters, what we saw the installed vice president came out, called an emergency meeting with the union reps and senior managers and said to them, announced that $200 million will be made available to Gaisuku for a 6 months one-off payment. Now tell me, is only the sugar workers turning the wheels of this nation? No. No. What about the public servants? Is it that, you know, from this, you see, they don't like when we call a spade a spade. But we must be able, because right-thinking Guyanese, intelligent people would see it for what it is. So the sugar industry is predominantly made up of one set of ethnic group. The public servant is made up of one particular ethnic group. But you know what? Because this particular ethnic group support us through, you know, the electoral process, we gonna look after them. So they turned up on the road, they demanded better wages and salaries. So we said we're gonna give them $200 million, right? As a one-off payment. But still, yeah, they got monies in the 2020 budget. They got monies in the 2021 budget. But you know what? Nothing for the public servants. Nothing for the public servants. But when during budget debate 2020, September, October of 2020, when we stood in the National Assembly, we asked the hard question, Are there any monies in budget 2020 for public servants? What we were told, yes. We were told that $6 billion has been set aside in budget 2020 for, for salary increases for public servants. But you know what? No announcements were made whether public servants will enjoy a 5%, because you remember they like give 5%. Between 3% and 5%, that's what they like to give. They don't go nothing above 5% for public servants. So nothing was announced. But public servants got a 25,000 payout. Then they get some other thing, some other money, I think for some not really, not a bonus, but something, some COVID something they got. Can't remember at this time. But nothing was added to their salaries for 2020. The last increase public servants got was for 2019 under a Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change government led by David Granger. That's the last increase public servants got. So come now to 2021. We ask the hard questions again. We demanded during all 31 of us on the opposition benches, we demanded that public servants be given a salary increase of 10%. You hear what is our figure? 10% for 2021. We ain't got nothing below. We said 10%. But the installed government, their backs were against the wall, because nobody, even the installed person who is responsible for finance, he couldn't give a direct or a straight answer. But because of the pressure applied by the opposition, this is what the man who really running this country, only disguising under the name as vice president, this is what he came out and said. Not the person who is the installed president, not the minister of finance. So these are the little things we must look at. But the one who is the real macaw, but just disguising under the name vice president. But this is what he had to say. In Guyana Chronicle, I think dated February 13, 2021, public servants will get salary increases, Jack Dio. And this is what he had to say. Vice President Jack Dio on Saturday confirmed that public sector workers have been catered for in the 2021 national budget, noting that $10 billion has been allocated for the revision of wages and salaries. I quote him as saying, a huge part of that sum will go towards salary increases for public sector workers, Jack Dio revealed on his Facebook page in direct response to the opposition, a Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change. The article goes on to state, and quote, as I quote, the APNU AFC continues to mislead their supporters and the Guyanese public. The latest episode of this is the false claim that there will be no wages and salary increases in 2021 for public servants, Jack Dio noted. Former finance minister under the APNU administration, in reacting to the $383.1 billion budget on Friday, alleged that there is nothing in the budget for public servants. They are in for a rough ride over the next 4 years. Jordan said on Facebook. The 2021 budget saw the removal of VAT on construction materials, basic food items, residential and mobile internet services, a 5% reduction in water rates, reduced costs to traveling to hinterland communities, along with a 15,000 grant to children in public sector schools and an increase in pension. But this last paragraph is not that important for what I'm discussing here this evening, because some elements in this last paragraph, I will discuss those elements in future programs. But what is essential for tonight's discussion is salary increases for public servants. But I have to let me remind you, my viewers out there, we cannot accept anything coming from the People's Progressive Party Civic. I'm going to bisect here a bit, because after the March 2nd, 2020 elections, and Jack Dio and Efran and a team of them asked for a meeting with the then Commissioner of Police, Mr. Leslie James. And after that meeting, they had an interview with media houses. And what was stated, I may not, have the direct quote, but what was stated indirectly is this: public servants don't have to worry, because no one will be knocked off. We will not witch hunt. But we will not witch hunt. Well, we saw what happened from August 3rd, 2020, and it's still happening. It's still happening. Persons' contracts that are expected to end as of May 31st, 2021. They have gotten the boots. Their contracts will not be renewed. So I'm saying this to say to you, just like they said last year, after the 2020 budget, that monies were in the budget for salary increases for public servants, but not one percentage was announced. So in 2021, we still at the same position. The vice president claimed that we in the opposition are misleading our supporters. We're not misleading our supporters. We are telling our supporters what we know. Because if you had monies set aside for the public servants, just like how you treated with the sugar workers, you could have treated with the public servants this way, in similar fashion. But you know what? Let us do a deeper analysis of this. He claimed $10 billion in the budget for public servants salary increases. But what he failed to say to us, and they don't like when we break out things in simplest of ways so that you, the ordinary people, can understand. They don't like that. They don't like us to share the facts with you, because that side, they're all about propaganda. That side is all about misinformation. That side is all about misleading Guyanese. So, $10 billion. Now tell me this. What I know is that under the line item under the Ministry of Finance, I'm trying to remember which line item. Under the Ministry of Finance, there is a line item there called wages and salaries, and I think other benefits, something to that effect. So this $10 billion is not only to cater for wage increases or salary increases for public servants, This $10 billion, out of this $10 billion, you got to cater for promotion in the Guyana Police Force, promotion in the GDF, promotion in all the possible, in all the ministries, persons who might be promoted from one level to another, right? This $10 billion, some of that money now got to go towards, new recruits who gonna be recruited in the Guyana Police Force, who gonna be recruited in the GDF, who gonna be recruited at the various ministries. So let us say from this $10 billion, you got to take out $6 billion to cover for new recruits in the various areas that I've just alluded to. So from the 10 billion, you subtract 6. So you're only left with 4 billion. So out of this 4 billion, I know for a fact that the $200 million come out from this 4 billion. Let's just assume that the 200 million came out from the 4 billion. So how much are we left with? That 3.8 billion thereabout. Yeah. So now they got to work out in their heads how much we gonna pay the public servants, because if I got 3.8 billion left, you gotta work out for the various categories, I guess, the number of persons in the public service, that will be benefiting from this payout. You gotta now start working the maths. So what we gonna end up with? We might end up with, rather than public servants getting a 5%, the 3.8 billion could only give, let me say, if it's 30,000 public servants in the public service, we can only satisfy a 3%. That is what we can satisfy, a 3%. So this is what this regime is doing to public servants. This is what this regime is doing to the bauxite workers. We know what is happening in the bauxite industry. But you're running to save public servants or bauxite workers. But soon the sugar workers sneeze, you're ready for run to their rescue. Look, we are a motto, one people. One people, we're 6 peoples. One people is Guyanese. One nation, Guyana. And we all have one common destiny to see the development of our nation. You understand me? So you cannot speak about oneness. And you got you squeeze in the public servants. You squeeze in them. They are the bugbearer to the tax system in this country. They're the ones, because from the time they receive, even before the monies are put into their bank or they have to be paid across the counter, the taxman gone with them. The taxman gone with them. So they get no increase for 2020. 2021 ain't finished yet, but at least something could have been said. So that at least you put their union reps on alert. So if the government say, well, look, we could only pay 3%, well, the union reps can start kicking up a storm. No, we demand nothing less than 10%. And that's how you're going to start the negotiations. I could only pay a 3, but no, I demanded 10. But you can't tell me that you got to negotiate before. What are you negotiating? You don't know what the what the workers representatives will come. Yeah. You gotta hear from well, we gotta hear what you got to say for us before you could hear from us. Before that whole process of collective bargaining can commence. So, my brothers and sisters, for those of you who are in the public sector, I am saying here to you tonight, you're being taken advantage of. You have kept the wheels of this country going. You know, you wake up in the morning, you get your newspaper. I mean, it's workers. The airport, the aircraft got to come in. It's workers, you know what I mean? The ferries in the Essequibo River working, they're workers, public servants. While you and I sleeping at nights, they're on the water top, they're at the airport, at the air traffic controllers. You understand me? But you're not being treated fairly by this administration. You had a wonderful administration, the David Granger led administration. Yes, a wonderful administration. So I want to say to you, public servants, on this live, to tell your representatives they gotta wake up from their slumbers. They're there to represent you. And if they're failing you, if they are failing you, then you should ask for them to do the honorable thing, to demit office, because they're not operating in your interest. They're not. So I would want to, because my time is upon me. So I would want to say to public servants, continue to keep the faith. Continue to keep the faith. We've seen what is happening with the nurses there in region number 10. No justice, no satisfaction, no proper working condition. Where is the union? Where is the union? You have been silent for too long. You've been placed there to represent, and represent you must. So I'm calling on you, public servants, to hold your representatives accountable. I know today we're celebrating Nurses Day, and I want, on my own personal behalf and by extension, the opposition and the party of which I'm a proud member of, the People's National Congress Reform, to extend happy Nurses Day to all our frontline workers. We know that things not regular, but because of your love for country, because of your passion to serve, you've stood the test of time. And I want to say to you, continue to serve with dignity. Continue to serve with professionalism. Your reward will be just and fair. Just today, a nurse, I was in discussion with a nurse, and you know what she said to me? Just now, honorable member, just now Guyana will not have nurses, because many nurses, as I speak here today with you, And as we celebrate Nurses Day, many nurses are leaving Guyana. You think we want to leave or they want to leave? No, they're leaving. And I said, where are they going? She said, to England for betterment. You talk about all groups come here for betterment. Well, if all groups are really getting betterment, them nurses would not have been leaving. Those nurses will not have been leaving. But because of how you're treating them callously, they have no other alternative than to go to greener pastures. So we will find ourselves, but only God can help us. That we must never reach to that state where we lost all of our professional nurses and doctors. And we now got to be, looking for probably, mediocre to boost the health sector. So I want to challenge each and every one of us. Each and every one of us, we have a voice. And our voice is protected in this thing called the Constitution. Nobody must shut us up. It's only death could shut us up. So I want to end by sharing with you that this weekend, on Saturday, the 8th of May 2021, the parliamentary opposition, the APNU-AFC opposition members, will be conducting outreaches in region number 3. And we will have reps at Stanleytown, Baggotsville, Port Ron, Denhamstel, I'm trying to remember all the other areas, Wakenham, Parika, but we will have a widespread in the region there. I will be at Denhamstel, myself and Honorable Member Tabitha Sarabuhali. We will be at Denhamstel Community Center. The meeting is scheduled for 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I want to encourage you to come out. Yes, we will observe, the COVID measures. But in order for you to get a true sense or a trueness of what is happening, we will be there to tell the truth. So I want, and for you to be educated, for you to be provided with the facts and not propaganda, I want to encourage you to check the Facebook pages. We have the posters out on Facebook page. So whichever community you're living in and the meeting will be held, I want to encourage you to go out in your numbers. Ensure your mask up, you walk with your little sanitizer, and you maintain your social distance, right? So come out in your numbers and be educated. Let us tell you what this cabal is doing at the level of the contracts, the procurement, everything that they're doing. We will reveal to you. And I also want to finally end by saying, just as I started, I want to encourage you to take the vaccine. I know it's a personal choice. I'm not going to impose on you, but for your own safety, and the safety of your loved ones, go get vaccinated. So if you have an 18-year-old and over, 18-year-old in the 20s and in the 30s, even 40s, sometimes you got to drag these people along. I encourage you to encourage them to take them along with you to get vaccinated. Their lives can be saved. Your life can be saved. So, as mine. So, as I have done, I want to encourage you. I have done it. So, too, I want to thank you ever so much for joining me for another program of Across the Waves. I do look forward to you joining me next Thursday right here at 6:30 p.m. for another program of Across the Waves. Do enjoy the remaining of your week. Do enjoy your weekend. Whatever you do, please ensure safety is your watchword. With those few words, once again, thank you for joining me and do have a pleasant rest of your night. May God richly bless you. May God bless your family and may God bless this beautiful land of ours called Guyana. Thank you.